Now, I still. All right, good evening. Welcome to the May EAC meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First up, approval of the minutes. Actually, I believe we have March and April's meeting minutes.
Yep.
Does anybody have any comments, questions, additions? No. Okay. Then we have a motion to, I'm just gonna do both in one motion. A motion to approve both the March and April meeting minutes.
I will motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, minutes are approved. Thank you. Next up, we have public comments. Ellen?
Yes. Ellen Wright, 9635 Old Coomer Road, Allison Park, PA, 15101. So my first thing is going to be, of course, about lights out. And tonight is a high migration night, but it looks like John's not here, so I'm guessing that cannot get posted.
It got posted today.
Oh,
It went on Facebook today.
I didn't, oh,
Yeah,
excellent.
I got to him yesterday morning and he got to it this morning. In fact, he contacted me and tonight is actually a medium. The past two nights were high, medium tonight, but he has it posted with tonight's medium and that's still the contact information there.
Okay.
It's on Facebook.
All right, so, and just, I'll have to take a look at, but just, I usually make copies for everyone, and I just have nice pictures today.
Mhm.
This is what the United States looks like from space with all the light pollution. And then there is Lights Out Pittsburgh. I thought they had a nice graphic showing the dark buildings. Okay. So if it comes up again, give you a call when it's a high night.
Yeah, give me a couple days notice.
You know, they only
Is it only a
tell
couple
us
days
like,
ahead?
they put it like, they give it 3 days. So like the past 3 days
Okay,
were all high.
because it takes, by the time I got it one night, I got it to John the next morning and it was the next day before he could get it up. So we tried.
Oh,
But
well,
it
no,
is-
it's,
it is
that's
there, we
good.
just missed the high nights, that's all.
Okay.
Do we know how many clicks go on that? I mean, is that,
On Facebook.
yeah, on
I
Facebook?
think John does have those numbers. I believe I've seen that presented at
Okay.
council.
It depends, I think, if there's a picture, like people tend to see it more if there's a picture.
Mhm.
And I think in the past, there had been a picture, so I haven't seen this.
And he has a screen capture of the website with it showing medium and then low.
Because that has a subscriber piece, and it would be nice if people started subscribing to it, and then they would get the alerts.
So he's had tons of requests to put stuff out there.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much. So while we're on the bird theme, Saturday is World Migratory Bird Day. And I don't say the Nature Center, right, in North Park. They're doing a bunch of bird migration activities. And sometimes he posts things from North Park. Do you think it's possible he could post about the at the activities at, how do I say the name? I don't want
Autonomy?
Autonomy
That's what
Nature
I've
Center
been told.
for the World Migratory Bird Day?
I can look into it.
Okay.
And they're gonna post their own thing.
Well,
Autonomy
they have,
post
yeah,
their own.
like he'll post things from North Park. And
Nick,
it's just,
the-
this is what they have posted.
The county parks have a newsletter that comes out
Yeah,
and it's in there.
Right, and I get that newsletter too.
Like he'll post like if their North Park needs lifeguards and different,
Right.
it'll show up on the town of McCandless
All
website.
I can do is.
oh, okay, so you, okay, all right.
And then for the, well, we're on the bird theme, because birds, the what's the event on the tree program on June 12th?
That's, we expect to have somebody come to speak in our meeting. Is that still happening, Bernie? Yeah.
Oh, it's speak at the
At
meeting.
this meeting.
Okay, I thought there was like I thought it was at the Heritage Center, but
We
it's
have
somebody
something on
speaking.
sustainability at the
Oh.
Heritage Center.
Well-
Tuesday.
Oh, that's too soon. But I've just discovered that there's bird-friendly coffee, which I hadn't known about, but the idea is that in where the birds are not here, that there's a lot of where the coffee is grown. And if the coffee is grown in places that have a canopy, then there are more species. And I only have 2 copies of these. But I'll just pass them around, Chair, because I was thinking that I was confused. I thought it was an event for everybody and that perhaps we could serve bird-friendly coffee at the tree
Uh-oh.
event, but
The future.
you know, so. And then just to make a change from birds, I don't know much about this, so I'm just throwing it out there, but I took this class from somebody who lived in Ross Township. And she was a big gardener and she was getting her potting soil from the municipal compost. And she got Asiatic jumping worms in her compost, so she couldn't garden, she can't garden in her soil anymore, and she's a container gardener. And I just wondered if the compost that gets put out here, if it's been tested for these Asiatic jumping worms. Yeah, so I just thought I'd,
That's like the first year they had that compost down there, I went down and got some and decided that I don't use that anymore. Cause there's all kinds of stuff in there,
besides
cause
dirt.
it's just what people put in bags and what the trucks suck up, and so there's no quality control in any way, shape or form. And so what's there is there.
So there could be worms, there's everything in there, is what I'm hearing. Yeah. So. That's it, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank
And
you.
thanks for reminding us about the migration. I always appreciate that.
Yeah, okay, and have a great environmental, I would stay and hear the rest of it, but it's a Home Depot night. So I wish you the best for the meeting and everything.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Happy
Thank you,
holidays.
Ellen. Good night.
Right, on to project updates. Since Dawn's not here, I guess Jeff, take it away. I think we're all pretty familiar with how well
Yes.
our cleanup went. Great success, so
Yeah, no, what a major success. I would say. I think the estimate, because it's hard to say because of the different scouting troops.
right.
I'd say the estimate of the people probably is priced between 100 and 120. I think that's fair. I think we had. In the building that day, I thought we had about 80 or so.
I counted 65, I think, in the photo. I tried to
Okay.
count, but there were some faces kind of hiding in the back.
Okay,
We were probably, I'd say 70 to 80 milling around the building.
okay, so 70, 80 there. Let's just call it 70. We probably had, so we're gonna just call it about 100 people. And I would say that's as successful as we've ever had. And I was, I think the initial estimate on bags was, and I was thinking that would, everybody would be picking up about 3, so I thought maybe it'd be 300, but I think we probably got to about 200.
About 200.
Yeah.
The counts we got back.
Yeah.
I still think there may be some groups out there that we did not hear from.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the kids at the schools and whether there were any other scouts or anything ever got done at Vestal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, true. Yeah,
I think
we
it's
never
pretty
heard
easy to
that.
get 200.
So I would say, and so we had great support from the community. I think we, I think we had obviously great support from the EAC. We had all council members, and we had 5 police details. We had the DPW that day to help us with the building. and certainly, you know, cleaning up and then getting us started. And then, they were fully in on Monday on cleaning up all the bags, and because we had a lot of walk-ups, and when we initially gave them the spreadsheet of the routes, those routes weren't really on there. So I had to send them an email, as you know, and say, hey, not only did we get everything that we handed you, but there's six more routes that we didn't even, you know, tell you about. And so, but they were able to pick up all those bags. So we had, you know, good support from the DPW, from the police, from council, and from the EAC, and from the community. So I would call it just a rousing success. I can't think, you know, there's a few little tweaks. But I don't know that there's anything that was, you know, like a real lesson learned or missed.
It's us trying to streamline how we check everyone in the morning, but when we have a lot of walk-ups, it takes us a little while to get everybody placed and the information to them. So,
Yeah, so I would say that, based on the routes, and recognize that the routes that we pick out are throughways and byways and not residential. So, you know, I would say that we probably touched 90%, at least, of the routes that we wanted to. So, you know, we talked a little bit about, a fall, a need to have a fall or not the need to have a fall. And, you know, we used a lot of political capital and everything that we had, and coupling with Beryl. And it looked like, I went up there and that looked like a success. People were driving through and dropping off their e-recycling, and then going and getting, you know, some Kona ice, and there were families up there and they were having them and they were happy. You know, using, you know, like really pulling out all of that. And having just a great success, and everybody, I don't know. It seems to me that maybe that's better to do it on an annual basis. So, you know, your thoughts on that, Judy?
I agree. Just with the amount of work, we put into it, short of having somebody on the committee again, that's basically their only job, which we had for a while, and with their subcommittee, we're able to pull this off twice a year. I think with the way we've got to do it with existing committee members, I agree. I think do it up right around Earth Day. I think that timing was great. It was visible, and like you said, I think the more often you do it, the harder it's going to be to get the buy-in we got this year. So,
Yeah.
do you
One
guys
comment from me is that one of my buddies at the gym, who's very active in Fox Chapel, was really impressed with the number of people and how good McCandless looks. That's not a light compliment coming from him.
Mm-hmm.
So
Nice.
attaboy.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Glad to hear that. And I think that, I mean, again, the reason we look good is because we do this, and we had the situation last year was that we missed the fall anyways. And then we went out and we cleaned it. So it's not like it's the end of the world if we don't get it in the fall. Now, what I'd like to do is, since we missed a big area, and that area was really right around the Sloop Rochester Road to the Ross line, up to the Franklin line a little bit. I mean, that's a targeted area. So if we can figure out how we can have a small targeted group meet on a fall morning, EAC sponsored, maybe not necessarily community outreach, but you get a small group and you say, let's get 15 people, and we'll just clean this area that we missed. And so we're not always because we're really behind the curve on that area, especially that Rochester, that lower Rochester. You know, we're very much behind, and you need police escort. So, you know, so you go and you say, can you get me one guy instead of 5? We don't need a DPW. We don't need to ask for overtime. We don't need, you know, one detail. And I think that we could say, we do a major community, and then we do it targeted. Yeah.
Are we still, as a committee, responsible for Cloverleaf?
We are, Ken.
So
We are.
we need to have some kind of structure there too, I think.
I think it's
I
a great
was
idea.
Irritated when I drove on that this afternoon and saw 2 beer cans.
Yeah, there's uh, there's a backstory to that too. That area always needs to be done because it's a high traffic area for a certain individual who throws all his liquor bottles off the side. There could be 100 bags of Grey Goose. Yeah, we got a guy yeah,
We got about 16 packages of Newport. So there's a Newport smoker that must pitch them just.
same place all the time.
The amount of Fireball I picked up
Yeah.
was insane,
Yeah,
Yes,
insane.
yeah.
We caught that on our route as well.
Yeah.
Just as we're getting out of North Park, that
Yeah.
was part of our stretch on Babcock. That's all I was picking up.
we got a wallet with a license and
Yeah,
That last pickup I did a year and a half ago, I found the wallet.
Yeah, so two takeaways that were pretty obvious to us is that we needed an extra person at the table, not me. Because I was sort of, I was more being asked questions, so get off the table, put an extra person there. And then also what I forgot, what I did not mention, which I didn't know that I had to, but became apparent, is to tie your bags when you're done. Because if we're not going to pick them up until Monday, because it's good visibility to have those bags out there. You hear from Ross, you hear from your guy at the gym, people see, oh, they picked up 100 bags, 200 bags. We just need to tie the bags because the next thing you know, a wind blows or something blows and you're right back to where you started. So,
we had a little bit of a problem with that because we had a lot of car parts.
yeah, they stick out, they cut through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was tough to know like what to do when you found those really large things that don't fit in a bag.
Generally, we'll pull that out to the road and,
Yeah.
even if I have a partial bag, I'll tie up my partial bag and just. move a
That's
couple
what
things
that's what
together.
we did too.
Smart.
I had a tire, same thing. I pulled the tire out, just tied up my bag, left it and then. kept
Yeah.
going.
Oh, and the third takeaway was that we need a floater. As opposed to employing everybody out there, we need somebody who can go and say, oh, we need extra bags. We need this, we need an extra person, something like that. So we need a floater.
And and one
Yeah.
that really stay, especially when we're using the public works garage, we needed to have somebody stay. there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or at least that we knew would report back there.
Yep.
Half hour before it was done, because I had about 10 minutes to help them clean up before they had to lock the garage up.
I know, we ran out of bags, so I went to the Get-Go at Dunkin', and they gave us 4 of their big massive bags, so,
Get that.
yeah, so. I don't know if there's a way to, thank them as part of,
Okay,
but I thought that was nice of them,
Yeah,
we didn't wanna stop, and. Yeah, we were short bags, so the
Mhm.
3 each was too little. Is what we discovered
Mhm.
in the route.
Yeah.
Ours were specially delivered to us.
yeah.
and I was down to my last bag as well. So, but that's one of those things, that's experience. But even so, it depends on the route you get. I've done routes where I struggled to fill a bag or two because it wasn't that bad. Or I had a big enough group.
But thank you for everybody, for your support. I mean, that's really, and the support from the DPW and the police department was phenomenal and council. So a big thank you.
And thank you, Nick, for reading Jeff's
Of
letter
course.
at council meeting.
Of course,
Appreciated that. Saw a lot of heads nodding. So that
Yes.
was-
all of my fellow members were very thrilled with how it went, so.
That's great.
Hopefully we can keep up that enthusiasm.
Yes.
And get them all out, get everybody out again next year.
Definitely, you guys did a
Excellent.
wonderful job, so
Thanks, Nick.
thank you guys.
Any other questions, comments on that? Next up, you're up again, Jeff, sustainability.
Yeah, so sustainability, we still have 10 open items. And we had one gold star item, and I believe that we have achieved it. It was assigning somebody and officially assigning somebody in the municipal staff to monitor energy usage through the gold star system, no, Energy Star system. So to put in bills, I mean, and if you want to go for platinum, then what you're doing is you're using the Energy Star system and you're showing that you are, your footprint is lower, or you're using less and less and less. But the Gold Star standard is that we are utilizing the system and we're monitoring, and eventually the greenhouse gas monitoring will produce some results. So I've sent that off to PA Sustainability. It might not meet the letter of the law exactly, but I'm asking them to really, consider the fact that we're only starting this and we can't really show much of a progress. They want numbers, show us numbers. Well, we're only starting it. What can we say? So I'm trying to get him there. So that's where we are with the open items. We obviously have the presentation on May 14th. And Brian has agreed to be on the panel to represent the municipality. I would be on a panel to represent the body of work of the sustainability. So I would speak to things like, where we rated high, where we rated not so high. What some of our goals are, different things like that to, maybe achieve the next level, whatever that is. Maybe I'm hoping that Brian would speak to the benefits to the residents of McCandless and what it does, for our ability to have, grants and other things that are favorable to the residents. So that's up, which I can't speak to. So I'm looking for that.
And I have something I haven't asked you before, Jeff. I know the last phase when Shelley did this, there was, whether it was something she put together, she always had that dashboard printout.
Yeah, the dashboard, yeah,
Is that something you can print out and provide to us?
absolutely,
I'd especially like to see it before the presentation.
absolutely. Okay, good.
I had just started on the committee. I had no idea what that was. It's a very
Okay.
long list. And if it's a huge document, just, send it to me electronically if you can.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'll figure that one out.
Okay.
Yep, I'll figure that one out.
Or if there's, a website or something to direct me to.
Well, yeah,
I
that's
just
it. I
wanna
mean, I
brush
just
up
get your
on-
login, but I know that the rest of the committee would like to see it too, so, so.
One of the things that Shelley did that you didn't do
Mhm.
is she pawned off some of that work onto us.
Oh,
So she didn't do all of it. She was asking for us to help on various parts.
mhm.
And so if we go through this again, keep that in the back of your mind that, we can help take some of the load.
It's like, now you tell.
Very much. No, that was, I wanted to sink into it, but, your timing couldn't be better. Absolutely.
But I also think the committee should, maybe everybody should go from the committee, and council if feasible, to really understand what this entails, because it really is about how do you operate on a daily basis, not just the day you fill out the paperwork and get the star on your forehead that says you're doing it. It really is about, are you practicing what these things are about? And it could be a framework for how the committee operates, meaning every initiative we do supports something in sustainability.
Mhm.
So it could be a context by which the committee understands, what, instead of it being, these are things we're doing, how these things fit into our sustainability metrics. And because I think that's a more holistic way to look at it. And then same thing with council. Every time council does something, it should understand how it's participating in better practices that lead to better economies, energy efficiencies, which typically means cost savings. So, I mean, it's just a better way to, practice and manage. It's a management practice is what sustainability
Which
is.
means we all need to be familiar with it and understand where we can. contribute.
So I don't know what the opportunity is this upcoming Tuesday
Wha-
for
Well, yeah,
council to
so,
be invited and for the EAC members to give up one.
so putting pen to paper, maybe, it's just a suggestion, but I mean, Bernie, I think you articulate it well. But not over articulated. So is there like a 3-sentence or 4-sentence thing that you could put together that maybe you could send to the council members saying, this is how it ties in. This is why, please join us. We feel that this ties it in for the reasons that you mentioned. And then if they join, they join. If they don't, they don't. But at least,
Yeah,
they've been, given notice.
it's a decision-making construct is what it is. So they could learn what's the methods by which you make decisions based on, best practices and sustainability, and it should drive, the way a municipality operates, because again, it all bottom line leads to a better environment, people who are, healthier and better off, as well as, the economics. So it's the marriage of those three things when you're making decisions and choices. And that's where I know, this is about a checklist, but it really is about understanding how that happens. But I know many of the former council members were part of the first round of approvals to kind of make this happen. So my sense is they do understand it, but it would be really lovely to have them come back and kind of re-up on like the memory and the muscle memory and the muscle practice of the decision making. And, you're new, so maybe, be a great way to learn.
Right, but Jason was chair of this committee when they did that first.
Who did?
Jason Singer,
Oh,
council,
okay, yeah,
he was chair of this committee.
okay.
Should be very, very aware.
Great suggestion.
Yeah, that is.
Mm-hmm.
And notify me too. Always up for help.
If you can put some,
I'm writing it as we
okay,
speak.
perfect.
Trying to remember everything you just said, right? Muscle memory, speaking of muscle memory.
Okay, oh, thank you. And once again, and
I want to get there.
I know,
I want to get there.
but you've been this close since December.
Oh, this is close. This is close.
Okay, any other questions for Jeff? All right, next up, Brant Trail Steward Volunteers. I know you met with
Nicole.
Nicole, thank you, since we last met.
Couple of things, a resident had expressed interest in helping, with, removing invasive species and things like that. And I met with her and she's a CMU, sustainability engineer. Knows her stuff and has a couple of kids and is interested in, and I'm trying to promote her to, get a group of people together to be stewards in the park kind of thing. We'll see where all that goes, but she's quite competent. Would be a great addition to this if we have another vacancy too, for that matter, but people were having difficulty, finding it, following the trail. And we put orange tape out there, and then last week, Jack and I went down and marked it the way trails are supposed to be marked with paint and everything. And removed all the plastic, all the
Okay.
orange tape. And while we were doing that, we had a mature lady walking down through there, and she seems to use it regularly. And she had her cell phone with her. She ran into any problems, and when we were just about out of there, an older gentleman that was actually, with a, had a cane and stuff like that, was also going to walk down it, and he had his cell phone with him in case he ran into any problems. So it was really nice in the middle of a weekday to see people utilizing the trail. And so that was really gratifying to see. And we had a little bit of drainage issue up at the top, at the upper trailhead, and what Jack and I both believe is it's those because of the way they do the storm drainage up there, those grates were getting covered up with stuff, and so we made sure that they're clean.
Okay.
I'm gonna go over tomorrow to see after that storm last night, how they are.
They come down out of the street there, that
It
end.
must, the storm drains from that side of the developments just dump down into the valley. And that's And over 50 years or so, those pathways that they had for that rainwater have between sedimentation and tree branches falling across it. And that's why we have such a problem with the wetlands in the bottom. But it's an awful lot of work to try to restore those old pathways back to their original condition.
Yeah.
So that's where we are with that for right now, and there's some grant money out there, and there's gonna be a committee formed and all of that, and that's still in the work in progress stage of things, so. So that's it was absolutely great to see in the middle of a weekday, a couple of people utilizing the trail.
Yeah.
That was just really wonderful to see.
And yeah, and that helps the condition of the trail. You get the feed out there and it's word of mouth, people see it.
Yeah.
That's great.
One of my neighbors who just moved in last year found out that there's this wonderful trail and he's gone out on it with his family too, so it's nice to see the word is getting out.
Well, hopefully we can. There's a lot more to that park than people are aware of, and we can put a real nice trail system in there, but it's just a matter of how we do that. I pass.
Okay. Anything else for Ken? Thank you again, and thanks for meeting with Nicole. Getting her feedback. Hopefully getting her.
I hope she gets involved.
Next, rain garden workshops. Dawn is not with us tonight. She said, she texted us a potential. She still would like to do, I guess she's calling them the cloning workshops. Getting people together with plants and cloning plants. But either June 1st or June 8th, she wants to have a small, limited attendance, workshop.
Yeah,
So she's still
doing cuttings.
having a workshop. I like that better. Okay. So we'll look for more from her on that. And if you have any thoughts or comments, you can get back with her. Next, tree programs, I guess follow up to your work last month. And is there anything new on our speaker?
Well, I mean, between now and then, well, my last month has been trying to reach out to people who were involved in the past. And still doing research and discovery of other programs, both in McCandless, outside of McCandless, and just learning again about more best practices. I reached out to Ken and Don. I did talk to Don. Ken, you and I owe a meeting on conversation about it, and I had mentioned to Jason Singer at the cleanup about any other tree programs that the EAC had ever done before.
Right.
So he did tell me he's just got monstrous quantities of boxes of information about, I guess, when they started the EAC.
Okay.
And I said, well, gee, that would be wonderful for the knowledge thing, because people like me who just start and really never understood
Right.
what it did and are trying to learn the history of the programs and what people did. I mean, those kind of things would be really informative. But I would love to see, being able to get better information on, because to me, that's discovery. I said this before, I don't want to invent something that may already exist, and I just didn't know it existed.
Have you run across? And it's just basically almost a vague memory, but I think there was a whole, with the one group doing analysis, and I forget if they were a state or a county group, that basically all the trees were indexed and so forth.
Some sort of survey.
Yeah, some kind of survey.
And that's when I first started, I didn't understand what it was.
And it's like we did that out in Wall Park with a bunch of kids and stuff like that, but it was just identifying what we had where and so forth.
Was it a McCandless project?
It was somebody doing it. It was a larger survey, whether it was county or state, I'm not sure, but McCandless was part of it.
All right, I actually think Darla Kurbata may have mentioned that when I had my call with her at the county. But I thought she had said they were just trees of a certain size, but
Yeah, they were doing, and I forget, fail to recall the details.
Okay, well, if you can remember,
You have to look
I would love to know.
back down in here
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, right, try, well, that's it, it's in somebody's file folder somewhere, right? But I think, trying to get some of this, some of the historical knowledge so that. And I know that's what Don was working on the SharePoint site, is where could we put things that outlast, our time and tenure here, so. Yeah, I'm game to do that, but I still would love to interview, like you'd mentioned, you have an arborist, so I would love to.
Mm-hmm,
So I'd love to reach out and have a conversation with, that individual.
mm-hmm,
and
okay.
Learn more. Same thing, Ken, I still wanna kind of do an interview with you and just learn more about, the things you have, and if there's anything that any of the members are doing or had, in the past, knowledge of programs, how we can connect to them. So that's where I'm still doing the discovery phase. So part of what I've been trying to do then is do a prep call with Danielle Crumrine from Tree Pittsburgh. She's the executive director. That's who we have coming in June.
Yeah, remind me of her name.
Danielle Crumrine. And she's the executive director of Tree Pittsburgh.
I think I just met her.
Oh, did you? At the tree giveaway?
No, at the mountain biking trail summit. But she gave us a tour afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
A tree
Think it was-
tour?
Might not have been her.
Okay. Yeah. But again, the conversation we've had is, they obviously, they work countywide, they have existing tree programs. They can offer programming for our citizens and for people who are interested in learning. And I think part of that is working with her in the committee on, forming initiatives, that can assist us with tree canopy. So both in the neighborhoods and as well as, in some of the, green spaces we have and getting them retreat.
Have you talked with the rangers in the park?
Not yet,
Sam, who's promoted now to Sam Shepherd,
okay,
was the guy that did a lot of that for a long time, and then Jake from Tree Pittsburgh. They've got I'm surprised with how many trees I see planted different places and a large number of those are in McCandless and so forth
okay, like in the park or in.
in North Park.
Yeah, and that's part of what Danielle had shared was they're working in North Park and that's great. And part of that is, I know they just did a tree giveaway. I don't know if anybody participated.
I did.
It was this past Saturday and I did it just to see how it worked.
Right.
So you did a reservation probably about 3-4 weeks earlier. They opened up reservations at 8 AM, so you reserve trees. I think they had about 8 types that you could select from. I picked evergreens. But they allow you 3 trees and then they give you the, the stake and the wrap to protect them. And they have videos showing you how to plant the tree, but it's a giveaway they do every year. It's in North Park. It was at the, skating rink, and it was Saturday, the pickup was just a 2-hour window. And it wasn't a huge amount of people, and they said at 1 o'clock, if they had trees left over, anybody could come and just take whatever, but I thought it was well done. They had a lot of tree organizations. In fact, I met a woman from Pine who does, I think she does a tree program in Pine.
Oh, okay.
So we talked about, again, things that they're doing. So, I plan on connecting with her as well. But I think, part of my experience with that's the kind of program that's done, for all of the north suburbs. She does these, Tree Pittsburgh does them in all throughout the county. But those are the kind of things I'd love to see specific for McCandless so that people can do them in their yards and their neighborhoods.
Did you bounce into E8, the Northern Area Environmental Council's tree thing also?
They had, I think they had a booth sitting there. I didn't talk to them, but no, I have not yet.
They've
talked to-
always done a,
They did a sale.
yeah,
Their pickup was the last weekend. April 30th, because that's when they just distribute the seeds from Mother
Okay.
Nature as well.
Yeah, that's right. I was too late to.
So,
try
yeah,
that.
I dropped in that day and they had, it's two different rooms. I went in, did the seed stuff, but they had their tree pick up the same. time. But they sell theirs.
Yeah,
That's the
it's a
same.
nominal cost. Right.
Yeah, that's very expensive.
And so I think part of it will be just really being open to just hearing what Danielle can offer, you know,
Yeah.
and just be open to it. Again, I don't see forming programs until, you know, we get more
Right.
information, data, the suggestions she's making, and then the things that I think the community would really enjoy.
When she comes next month, is she going to have a particular program for us? How is that? Do we need to provide her a method to do a presentation?
I think more feasibly, I mean, I'll check in with her
Okay.
on that and give you the details.
Yeah, and if you could let me know, I guess about a week before the next meeting,
Sure.
and try and keep it, if she does have a presentation, you know, along the lines of 10 minutes or so. And then we normally spend double that time on question and answer, so.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else for Bernie? All right. Wrong agenda. All right, that's it for our project updates, unless I've missed anything. Next up would be the student report. Archie said she had, what, 5 AP exams this week and was concentrating on that. Matt, I guess we started talking a little bit about, I guess, her finishing up her program year. The assumption was June would be her last month in participating in the student position. I don't know, did you have any further conversations with her, Matt?
No, I have not spoken with her since that email exchange. So my understanding is that she's working on an article for the Crier. But she, as you mentioned, she had some school responsibilities that she was taking care of first. So then sounded like she was going to work on that after that.
Yeah, and I believe, did she send us a little bit of an update on what she's, I think, yeah, here's her updates. She talks about the North Allegheny and other schools just had their NHS, their National Honor Society inductions, and that those students will be looking for ways to enter in service hours. I don't know if that's anybody we've ever been in touch with, or the NHS folks at the high school.
I don't know if we've reached out to them or not. I'm not sure who the sponsor is for that, so I can certainly look into that and see. I'm not sure who's doing that right now.
I don't know either. I don't think she's a name on here.
When I was there, it was Mr. Tengowski. But
Okay.
that was 2018, so
Recent, 1970.
give or take a few years.
And she also mentions the success of the roadside cleanup. And she says that this was so much fun, and honestly, she expects us to get an even better turnout next year with the student group if we make it an NHS service activity. That she enjoys working with others, and it's good, valuable experience for her. And then also, she feels like the roadside cleanup opens our eyes into the unfortunate truth of how dirty our environment really is. I had no idea we had so much litter. I can help write an article about this or make some literature to cover this topic. I suggested when she's looking at a kind of an ending article to write for the town crier. And I suggested, you could always say what you saw and learned with our litter pickup. I kind of threw that, so as an idea.
Yeah, different generations view on it.
Right. So that was Archie's report. Next up, community outreach. Matt, do you have anything for us for student outreach?
No, there hasn't really been a whole lot on that side of things. So what I think I'm going to be trying to do is I will reach out to the National Honor Society sponsors. It does look like Mr. Tengowski and Dana Oliver are the two sponsors there right now. So I'll reach out to them about projects moving forward. I'm also going to reach out to Ms. Lombardi again and just kind of see if we can sort of refresh our relationship with that group, with the Interact Club, because it seems like last year things went really well and we had a lot of, well, not a lot of, but we had some buy-in from them, and
Mhm.
it just kind of disappeared this year. So I'm not sure if that's lack of student interest, if it's just lack of time, or what that might be. But I'm gonna see if she has any ideas on kind of other ways that we can expand the connection between the two groups, and then also send another email out to take a look at who are the sponsors of the clubs now, like I did when I first joined up. Resend that email or something similar to that that says, hey, we're who we are and what we're doing, and how we want to get more students involved, so that we can kind of plant the seed, so to speak, for next year. I feel like now the school year is winding down. If we can kind of get it in the plans that folks are starting to make for the fall, we'll be a little better off when we start then.
And you had talked too about us getting information out now about our student member position.
Yeah, I think that
rather
there's
than
I
meeting.
I think that if we could, what we may want to do, and Judy, I mentioned this to you as well, is have an evergreen presence somewhere on the McCandless website about the fact that there is a student role in the EAC. We could even have a link to the application and just a particular due date that says, you can submit this application anytime you want, but we are going to be making the decision on this particular date at this, that type of thing. So that if students happen to find it at a particular time, just so we're not, having that kind of like 1 month and a half where it's like, okay, let's get the word out as quickly as possible and get as many people signed up as we can. If it's kind of out there, it might be something that students will find on their own as well. And I don't know. I think that could be valuable. And I think it's also going to be good to talk to Archie and do a little bit of a debrief on what worked for her as far as this was concerned, and then for us to talk a little bit about what worked and didn't work for the role for us, because I think there were some things about it where, we had some quote unquote requirements that were either unable to be met or just were, and don't get me wrong, I think Archie has done a fantastic job with the stuff that she's been able to do. But I also know that she's had to miss meetings and, not do certain things that we were that we were thinking we might ask of a student in this role. So just go back and reevaluate that and make sure, do we want to actually ask all these things, or do we want to pare it back a little bit or change some of the requirements a little bit? And I think her input on that will be helpful as well.
Yeah, and I agree, because we basically just took what council did for their junior council person and just tweaked it a little for our use. So now that we're a year into this program, we can see what pieces of that work for us and what don't. And I believe council has a constant link on the website for that position as well. That's where we got this information. So we need to see if we can get that same link put on the EAC's page for our program. It should be very similar to what the junior council person is, but we have to get that put on the website. But I agree. I think that's a good way to handle that.
A question about that, is there a way to expand, one of the things I think that was mentioned last meeting? NA is starting an environmental studies program. Is there a way to expand the student? Like if you have students who truly are interested in environmental studies, is there a way to expand that into kind of a student core part of what we're doing? And when I heard that, I was thrilled that they're doing that. But I would love to, rather than having to just pick one person, and not that there's anything wrong with one, but is there a way for us to expand the opportunities for young people to engage in? Maybe not a meeting, but maybe there's a practice committee that they could have as kind of a junior EAC.
Yeah, well, and I think that's something we can work towards as we learn.
Yeah.
I think we're still pretty early in this process, and hopefully we can learn a lot this year, maybe next year, and maybe that's something we can work with our student member to brainstorm on that and figure out a way to make that happen. So I think that's a great goal,
Yeah, and I'm thinking of the faculty member,
right?
NA, who's gonna be doing that program.
Okay,
That's who I think it would be interesting to connect with them.
No, I agree 100%. I think I'm gonna try to find out who is teaching that AP Environmental Science course and include them in that, when I reach out, and maybe just reach out to them individually as well. I don't know what their course load is, how many classes they have, anything along those lines. If AP Environmental Science, if they're teaching, 5 sections of AP Environmental Science, they'll probably be 100% on board with this. If they're teaching 1 section of that and 4 sections of AP Physics, that may be less of a buy-in from them, right? So it's just a
Physics
matter
is-
of finding out.
yeah,
All right,
no, great. Thanks, Matt. And don't let me forget, so we can work together on talking to Archie sometime here in the next month. And also getting the application back together and work with John to get that out. Okay, next item, speaker series, coming up this Tuesday. I believe everything's in place. We just need more people to sign up for it. We've got everything set at the Heritage Center. We've had publicity through the library and through our own sources here, and I think the Heritage Center's had it. It's on their electronic billboard. What we did find out, and this kind of jogged my memory, that normally when the library works with us on these programs, they like to get the information together about 2 months ahead of time. And now I remember why, because they get their information to the Trib and some of these other publications, she said 3 to 4 weeks ahead of time. So we missed some of those deadlines for some of those publications to get that information. So that's a lesson learned. It's been a couple of years and now I remember that's why they want that early. But otherwise, I'm working with Wendy at the Heritage Center on the logistics. As of now, I think we have 3 or 4 signups.
Mhm.
What time does that start?
That starts at 7:30. I think it's 7
7
o'clock.
o'clock.
I'm sorry.
7 o'clock.
I should know. But yes, and I will send out the with your information, I'll send it out to the committee, I'll send it out to the council.
Oh, yeah.
And try and get some participation there as well. But basically, look at the link, it's on the town website. Northland Library actually does the registrations for us. They advertise it as one of their adult programs and they will take the reservations. Anything else we're missing? Do
Just
you guys?
people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The other ideas for new invite, but yes, it'll run from, normally the speaker speaks for an hour, so we allow half an hour or say half an hour. I don't remember.
I said it was a 30 minutes.
30 minutes and then
Yeah,
30
30
minutes.
minute panel and then.
Panel, okay.
Yeah, it should be over an hour, right?
Right.
So, yeah, makes sense.
It depends on, the communication back and forth.
Yeah. And I think what I'll do is, sorry, Judy, I think what I'll do is, I'll pull together this dashboard. And then maybe we can have a prep call before. If it looks like we're gonna get 10 or 15 people and it's a go, and which it probably will be. Maybe we should have a prep call and make sure that we, we're gonna touch on the things that are important and, we could talk about some things that you can do when in your moderation to, ask the panel and different things like that.
I'm actually going to be out of town this weekend for Mother's Day. So I'll be gone from Saturday morning, coming back Monday evening. So I know we're kind of running out of time. I mean, at the very least, if I don't know if you need to talk to Sawyer at all. We should probably do it.
Yeah, okay, and I will just feed you some stuff through email then.
Okay.
Mhm.
Or I can probably talk Monday night when I get back.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's okay, but if it's not necessary, if we can knock it out beforehand, so.
Any other questions on that? All right, next, Garden in the Park. I think several of us got copies of, Ken, you got it too, and Dave Minard sent it to us. They are going to schedule Garden in the Park again this summer, Saturday, July 27th, 2024. Does everyone here know what Garden in the Park is? No? It's put on by the Penn State Master Gardeners. Help me out here, Ken. But they are at the demonstration garden area at Wildwood and Babcock, where the cannon is there. Those are their demonstration gardens. And it's pretty much a big kind of fair festival. There's a lot of people set up their tents. You have master gardeners out there. Who else is there?
You get mushroom groups, you get all
Yeah.
different kinds of groups. I did it for American Chestnut Foundation and so forth, and they always have Penn State ice cream, and so that's an attraction for me anyway.
And in past years, prior to COVID, the EAC would set up a table. And do it just like we do our township events.
Okay.
And man that all day. The program lasts, does it say?
So I think one,
Yeah, she didn't give us the hours.
So when is National Night Out?
That has been the first week in August, I believe.
Okay, so we have some things that coming up that would
Right.
be require us to put in place some of the things that we talked about last year about advertising ourselves better and making it more obvious what we did and what our mission was and different things like that. So there's a little bit of a I guess there's a little bit of a pressure point to get something that looks more like EAC standard messaging for EAC at these things. So I'd like to think a little bit more about that.
Okay, but it's 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah.
You can find it in here. And so I guess the first question is, do we want to sign up for a table? I don't, let's see.
I'm sorry, did you say the 24th, which is? a Wednesday?
27th.
27.
27.
Sorry.
there's a lot of people that flow through there. I think it's a worthwhile thing.
As long as we can get, we need probably 2 people staffing the table.
Yeah, if you stagger them.
Yeah.
makes it-
Right, and I think that's what we've done is, a couple people for a couple of hours, a couple more show up.
Yeah,
and-
I'd be committed to that.
Okay, so you think we should go ahead and sign up, let them know we're coming?
Yeah.
And then we'll pick up the
Yes,
summer to put that program back together.
Yep.
Great, okay, I will contact Margaret Miller here and let her know we're coming. You'll still be doing your chestnut tree? You can, on ours,
We have to get Dawn to buy in.
yeah,
She has a little. Fancy little,
Yeah, I got over there to help set up last year, and it was
oh, that's right.
It was, not very pleasant.
Monsoons, they canceled it last minute, right? So we'll try again. Okay, that's all I had for community outreach, miscellaneous, June McMail tips. I don't think we got any in this month, but he did have a couple of other, he had a recap of our roadside cleanup and a blurb on our sustainability.
yeah, I think I might have dropped the ball on that one on sustainability, but I think, yeah, well, yeah, and right, that's right. But then whenever I saw how much attention we got on those things, I said, well, but we don't wanna,
That's.
So
would you be willing to do a sustainability one,
I think so.
pull something together?
Yeah, I can. I have to think about what that would be, but yeah,
And that's-
I will.
He normally wants that like 5 days or so before the end. of the
Yeah,
month, and that
okay.
goes out. And I understand you've got a lot on your plate. If that's too much, Jeff.
No, we'll get it
So,
done.
yeah.
We'll get it done. We'll get it done.
Okay, the SharePoint site is up. I believe Dawn sent an email out to everybody with a link, or is that just to you and I? Or was that just to me?
It was just to you. Yeah, I don't remember seeing that.
I didn't see it.
I didn't either.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll look at that, because that was right around when we were doing our cleanup. We were taking care of that. So,
And maybe she did, but
I didn't recall seeing.
okay. Well, we'll have to get that.
Oh, she did. Yeah, it was back then. I thought it was something, yeah, she did. It looks great.
Well, really all it is, I mean, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. You can
No.
put a folder in there, throw your stuff in there, and at some point, it's probably gonna need some organizing. And maybe she can help us
Right.
with that. But I did put, the roadside cleanup documents that I had in there. There's I guess the whole summary that I believe Dave Minor had put together, I
Mhm.
put that in there. As well as the spreadsheets we use for the pickup locations and, participants. So that's.
Yeah, I should add to that on sustainability on how, I should probably sort of document on how that happened.
So,
Okay.
any kind of documentation that, summarizes the work we do, a project we've completed.
Right.
That we have that information there for whoever might take that back up again, so,
Judy,
right, yeah.
it also says, there's an email from back in like 2022 that says
Okay.
that people need to be added to the shared drive in order to access it. So I'm not sure, I know that I have been because I was in that email, but there are
Right.
probably many members of our current EAC that are not.
And that could
added.
be, and I think that was mentioned to John on a couple of occasions, because I believe he has to give us the permissions, or make us a member of that group. So, I'll have to go back and dig up that email. And in the meantime, if everyone else got that email, please take a look and see, let me know who has access, who doesn't. And we'll make sure everybody gets in. But it's very easy, just drag and drop the documents into it. All right, next item, resident concern for invasives. We received an email, I guess it went through the EAC, with an email address to John. From a concerned citizen, I'll read this real quick, from a Travis Hunter. He said, hello, I'm reaching out because I'm concerned about the number of individual invasive species in our community, as well as the overall volume that has been affecting us. We are overrun with spotted lanternflies last year, and after a warm winter, they will be back in full force. Also, I have seen the poison hemlock already growing on roadsides, and have seen Japanese beetle larvae in my yard as I plant my garden. I wanted to know if there are any plans to remove these invasive species from our community. If not, I am interested in creating an organization within the local government to address the problem. There is currently no strategy that can point me in the direction to form a body that would be able to address our issue with invasive species. And I will send a copy of that out to everybody. Or did we all get that?
Yeah.
We did all
I
get
think we
that.
got it.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the problem with it is that you're dealing with private landowners. So, and the issue that I've gone through, like with the Japanese knotweed, is we can mow what is in the right of way. But and so we could control that, but that doesn't do the rest of the patch that's on somebody's private property. And I was somewhat amused that he didn't mention Japanese knotweed, stiltgrass, Japanese
Yeah, there's
stiltgrass, or
some.
Japanese barberry.
Right.
Because those are the main huge ones, and the county park has a steward program. Which might be something that he could look at, but again, that's a stewardship program is something I would hope that we can do for Wall Park. But that's township property. We can do that there, where when we're talking in generalized term, that's up to the individual
Yeah, I
landowner
didn't
to be
catch
able to
that.
do.
Yeah, you're right. But is there any way to tie this? I know with your conversations with Cole, interested in removing invasives from Wall Park and the trail. And I know we had a woman came to our meeting in the past year, also with the same concerns about the invasives. So, where we have people with this interest here. What path should we take to try and harness that? Get these folks.
The only thing that McCandless can really do is two things. It can do, raise public awareness, so people will take care of their own property. And the second thing we can do is, form stewardship groups like Vestal Field has. For, like for Potter Park and for Wall Park. And other municipally controlled properties, but other than that, I really can't see what else you can do other than increase people's public awareness.
I mean, I'd like to suggest, how to, it's almost like the same kind of organization. We did this in Washington and the Hills. We did almost like your cleanup day, where we went after invasives for certain days, certain times, got a bunch of folks, trained them, because again, it does affect tree canopy in some of the spaces. I don't know, the specifics of what they're describing, but I mean, to Ken's point, it can be a steward program where part of the stewardship is, planting trees, the other part is the maintenance of, so it's like removing what shouldn't be there. One part is putting what should be there in, the other part is let's remove what shouldn't be there. So I think there's a way to holistically try to approach that, but I'm with you on, doing specific trainings in mechanics and maybe even doing, let's take out the invasives day. And there's certain times of the year when it's easier to do than others. But I do think people who just want to get involved in doing this, but I think, doing specific removal. I know in the city, we were to get some of the public works folks to help with the, the arborist and, so it was all planned and it was like a big party, just like you did with the, the litter pickup. So
Does the county now, is the county or autonomy or somebody has, I believe, groups now that are going out on a regular basis to, and that had training on pulling the
The
invasives?
Rangers have a
The
stewardship,
Rangers, okay.
have a
Okay.
stewardship program.
Okay.
I was in the first class of that, will be.
well, there you go.
But
Ken, you can lead
it's-
it.
And they train a lot of people and very few people are active. But it's in North Park where they control that and everything. This is the issue. To me, the large part of this is that McCandless has authority over. If you take out all the knotweed that McCandless right away entails, well, it's in this person's backyard.
Yeah,
And-
it just,
And so it's a very difficult thing to approach from a municipal point of view. If the individuals haven't bought into it too.
okay, so trying to think of, how I'd like to respond. I did respond and said, we discussed it. We don't have anything formal in place. Let's see if, we can direct him. Maybe do we direct him to check in with the stewards program and maybe learn something about it and you can come back and work with us?
So let me just get this thought out, Ken, now, I apologize, but so what we know is that when there was an independent litter group formed. And it was part of the EAC. And that had to be approved by council,
It was considered a subcommittee.
a subcommittee. So I don't know that a subcommittee of the EAC is the right thing to do for this group. So going back to what you were saying, Bernie, because I just don't think that that's a good structure. Or it would be supported by council either. Is that you'd have to put together people that have, this concern. And try to have grassroots effort to draw people into it, just like the litter day or something like that. So I mean, I guess we could support that and we can say, how do we get these people together or something like that and start to have some traction.
Probably that's a good thing for our speaker series. Is invasives and invasive control and what each individual can do about that. And it's really on your own property. It just as an aside, when they're talking about lanternfly, having been through in my forestry career of, the gypsy moth and I'm gonna forget the name of the other worm up in the upper tier. And but it's what happens is when these new creatures come in, no one the birds don't realize they can eat them. The chipmunks don't realize they can eat the egg masses and so forth. And so I have literally slid through stop signs because there were so many gypsy moth caterpillars on the road. And when you look up on a blue sky day, you would be like rain, but that was caterpillar droppings. And you come out 10 years later and it's really a non-issue. And but nature rebalances. The biggest thing I think with the lanternflies is where you can is eliminating the tree of heaven.
So does Leucotomy have? I know that they do a lot of stuff on lanternfly, and so does the stewardship program. But does Leucotomy do anything with invasive species education?
I think they do.
They do, and they it on their trails and things, but the formal thing in the park is for controlling the invasives in the park is the stewardship program run by the rangers.
So
Leucotomy
somehow
is almost a separate issue from,
the campus.
well, from North Park. It's like another like.
Right, yeah, I know. It's always that. It's always like a gray area, or it's a little bit, the relationship is a little bit odd.
All right, I can look into those programs a little bit. Just, I'm just seeing some overlap with Nicole that has a, you know, a desire to get a group together to do this in the park. Can we not?
No, that's Ken's impetus of getting her to have the desire to do that.
Well, okay, I thought that was her, why she came to us.
She wants to do it herself
Okay,
and trying to get, hopefully, she can attract other people that want to do the same thing.
well, and that's what I'm saying. We have somebody else here that would like to do that too.
Yeah.
So how, even if we kind of informally, you know, put them on the same email and send them the information about the Ranger Stewardship Program. And, you know, we've had several and, you know, if they're okay doing that, I'd love to dig up the name of the woman who spoke before. And even, you know, introduce them to each other and say, you all seem to have a common
Right.
interest here. We don't have a program per se here, but the Rangers do. How we suggest, you know, you look into that program, and then maybe that's something we can pull back and put a program together. I don't know. How can we?
Part of
get
the
this
invasive issue is also the overpopulation of deer.
Yeah,
You know, the reason you don't have the normal domestic, for lack of a better term, species there is because the deer eat them, and the invasives, again, are usually not appealing to. I haven't found anything that eats stilt grass yet. Rabbits, deer, groundhogs, none of it eats stilt grass. So these things are all interrelated, and that it's really hard to have a coherent program that you can accomplish much.
Yeah, you're just trying to do you're just trying to do a match.com with people that come. Yeah,
because we
absolutely.
don't have any place we could, anything for we can plug them into. right
I'm
now.
not sure with the bandwidth to do it.
Right.
You know, I
Right.
mean, that's a thing. So, but there are like-minded people out there that you're trying to
Yes.
connect.
Yes.
I got it. Yeah, I know.
Do you think that's an appropriate thing to do?
I would refer them through the Ranger program is
Right.
really
Yeah,
the
I think
best
it's a
way
good
to,
start.
yeah.
But if I put them on the same email, tell them about that and, you know, thank you, you know, each one of you for doing this. Here's the information.
And I would love to get copied on it so I can kind of see, does it fit into ultimately
Yeah.
a tree
We,
program?
we find that there are, that there is a growing interest in tackling this problem. And we're putting everybody on here that we've spoken to, and hopefully, you know, we could reach out, and just like invasive species that
Right.
can, you know, go out and multiply and get mass.
But it's all about the health of the tree canopy. And this is what I'm saying. They're not unrelated. They're
Right.
not
Mhm.
two separate topics.
Yeah, and the deer, right.
Yeah, the deer are part of the healthy tree
Mhm.
canopy,
Yep.
right? or the unhealth of a
But
tree
I
canopy.
would mention in it too, that it's difficult for us as a township to do it because we only have, you know. So we're not throwing them to the wolves. It's like we really,
Right.
we have a difficult time to apply their.
Right.
Judy,
Okay. Yes,
I think one thing is just that, just to make it clear to them that the EAC isn't responsible for policy either, right? So
Okay.
that we don't actually have the ability to say, we're gonna create this thing where the town is gonna do this, right? Just to make sure that they're clear on that. And the other thing I would say is, I would be hesitant to share email addresses for people that aren't aware that they're getting their email addresses
and
shared.
that's why I threw that out there.
Yeah.
Do we think that's appropriate or,
So
or I'd
I'd
say-
say,
no, I can.
I would
like,
recommend,
find-
yeah, if you blind copy them on
Right.
an email and then say, if you are interested in sharing your email with other people who are interested in this,
Yeah.
reply to me, and then I will add you all and I will share the email addresses with each other. That way you get their consent before, so that,
Okay, yeah, that's.
That's
a way
good
to do it.
etiquette. That's good email etiquette.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I didn't know how to do that.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for your input there. I'd like to provide a good response. It's very thoughtful email to us. All right, Jeff, you had asked to be able to give a recap of your trail. summit?
Yeah, just very quickly. So Jack sent me an email telling me about this trail summit with being held at Tree Pittsburgh. And it was really on mountain bike trail building. And it was specific about mountain bike trails. And it was really like shovel and dirt minus 3 years. So how do you sort of set up with communities and to get their buy-in and to go to where the community is on their acceptability of building trails for economic benefit, for health benefits, for so it was attended by this group that went from the Appalachians, so lower Ohio, not into Kentucky, but lower Ohio, all the way up into like the Cleveland area, all the way up to Harrisburg, and then down in a lot of West Virginia, down by like Charleston, West Virginia. So it was put on by the Pennsylvania Environmental Council. Appalachia speakers were there. The USDA Forestry Service was there. West Virginia Lands Trust. And so it was really on how to get communities to buy into that wouldn't be necessarily used to seeing these people, how to buy into trail building. And so it was inclusion. It was to them to accept something they weren't used to, and then eventually start to put shovel to dirt. So what I saw in one of the speakers was that he talked about connecting pocket parks. So pocket park in our would be Potter, Wall Park, North Park, Rachel Carson Trail, different things like that, like connecting those things. And how do you connect those without actual woods and forestry and so forth? So how do you do that in a safe way? And so that was how my mind was working on how we could connect all these things and eventually connect up to Montour Trail, different things like that. And Ricky was there too, Ken, Ricky from Trail Pittsburgh. So
I was supposed to be, but I managed to not have my email available to me for a period of time.
yeah, it was a different, it was a larger picture. And so they had panelists and then we broke into small working groups, and then you work together, and it was a working day. So it was really interesting, and it taught me a lot about like the municipal status of trail building, as opposed to this is how you cut or something like that. It wasn't that at all. It was more of a larger picture about how to go to a community and then how to go to a municipality and sell sell trail building. So very interesting. That's all.
No, thank you for doing that.
That's been one of the things too, connecting, from Wall Park to Potter Park to Vestal,
Yes.
and back into North Park, but also going the other way, going up into Franklin Park.
Right.
And it's the big stone wall that I see in all of that is, there's always private property
Mhm.
in the middle of that, and without getting easements, on a deed and things like that, it becomes, landowner changes.
Yeah.
And so it can be a very frustrating thing to work through.
Thanks again.
Mhm.
I have no other topics on the agenda. Next up would be town council report.
I have two questions for you
Okay.
guys. So Jason Singer expressed interest and support in building a little rain garden in the main entrance to town hall.
Okay,
Is this something you guys would be interested in pursuing?
I'm good.
That's
Dawn's more
Dawn's.
familiar with how that has happened in the past.
Okay,
I think the EAC did not build those rain gardens.
yeah,
That was a partnership. I think Jason had something to do with that as well. The rain gardens that are up around the Heritage Center. So I think we'd have to sit down with Jason and, number one, understand how the first ones went in.
okay,
What type of a partnership, because it's not us going out there with shovels and working and planning that out. There's
yeah,
a very specific planning process, I think, for those. But, I mean, we certainly could help with that endeavor, but we have a lot to learn on how to start a new one.
Okay.
Once again, Dawn knows more about the rain gardens than any of the rest of us, so
Okay.
that's a good question for her.
noted.
Um, So not sure if, we. Yeah.
I have a question. Did he say why in that location? Is there a particular problem with flooding?
There's a little bit of runoff there,
Is there?
yeah,
Okay, so it's a problem that needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, his business is doing so.
yes, so,
So has he said he would do it? He's
Yes.
looking for us to maintain? it?
Oh, okay.
So he wants us to maintain
Yes.
what might get built. Okay.
he said that he would. That his business would. Put the whole thing in.
Okay, well, that sounds like some of us need to get together and find out exactly what his plan. I mean, certainly we can sit down with him and.
Okay.
And see what his plan is.
Cool,
Absolutely.
awesome,
But I know we're having trouble keeping the maintenance of the ones we have. Granted, this would be more visible. It's right in front of town hall than the ones we have up there. But the town has not been maintaining those. And as we found the past year or so, that's more than we can maintain.
gotcha,
So that's a concern. I think it's great great thought to think of something like that, but we've got to look at the long-term maintenance of it. Because
Sure.
That's been an issue.
Yeah.
And he should hear that.
And I do think I remember Don asking in one of the recent meetings about budget for, replanting and
Right.
some other issues. So I think that part of, maybe an overall maintenance plan for all of them and
right,
whether or not
Right.
it is, always volunteer labor, can it be
And,
some kind of maintenance contract with
Right.
somebody?
right, and I
Has it-
believe that's something she had on her to-do list, was to come up with a maintenance plan for those. That we have put in place.
And it's,
We can
there's a
approach-
theme here. There's definitely a theme to tonight's meeting, and that is that there are people that are interested in things beyond what our normal, what our normal agenda is, and that's great. I mean, this is what we're looking for, but it's also beyond our bandwidth to be able to achieve them as a 7-member team or whatever that it is. So, it does just start to speak to small groups that are, because this is one of the things that I learned in a conference in February is that, there were small groups throughout the community that took on things that weren't associated necessarily with the EAC, but they were, put together just like invasive species and different things and like, like-minded people. And so, you know, how do we as a group, or how do we as a committee sponsor these people or put these people together? But
Right, and
just
I
saying,
think, Bernie, this is something you've kind of had on your list as you work down through some of these programs too.
Yeah.
I think you were ultimately wanting to bring it into the sustainability program and.
Yeah.
And yet another thing to tie into that.
Yeah,
initiative,
it's like
so.
how you tie it all together, but yeah, I
Right.
think, I do think. I mean, I see this as even people are looking for connection in their
Mhm.
community. As everybody's moved more toward digital, these are ways that people can come together. And, do community service, be of service to their community and participate in a really healthy, constructive way. And I do think, yes, if we can develop a framework for engagement and involvement and invite them and then treat them well, kind of like what happened at the litter cleanup where people felt acknowledged and seen. But so yeah, I would love to see kind of the development of a framework that then could be proposed for how it's 7 members, but there's a whole engagement in the volunteer community and the citizenry who want to do more. So, and yeah, under the guise of the gold certification, like how do you
Yeah.
put that in practice?
can this committee go to 9? I mean, I mean, I mean, we're really casting a wider net and, we don't want to burn ourselves out either.
Right, and we're
It's-
finding
it was-
with 7 and 7 rotating people, it's very, very difficult.
It was originally 7 because it's 7 districts and each person, they had to have. If you lived in District 1, you would be the representative for, and they found that that was not necessary. When we were trying to fill vacancies, that was an unattainable goal.
Yeah,
So it could
right.
be
Well,
I
larger.
forgot about
Yeah,
that. Right. Interesting.
so the committee could be larger.
Well,
we
we
would-
call it.
We probably would need council approval
Oh,
to be
yeah.
able to do anything like
Like
that.
agent in charge or something.
mhm.
But,
The original concept was a representative from each
Right.
ward.
but if we show how active we can be and how wide our reach can be.
Yeah.
If we had more than 7 people.
Yeah.
I like how that sounds.
Do we get, I mean, how do we get Nick to sort of
Kind of float that
let
idea.
Yeah, I
that thing
can-
out?
Yeah, I can,
See how they feel about us expanding seats, but let's also meet and talk about what's that look like? Is it just 2 more? Is it
Mhm.
5 more?
Or do we just have, or we just have 2 more people going off on their personal projects too, and that, it's.
Or coordinating, like we have, the township now has a what, sports and recreation coordinator, whatever, I see
Mhm.
from time to time. Putting some of that into his bailiwick and things like that.
Well, and I think that's something we raised for the position was filled. That's something Dave Minor tried to follow up on to get help with the litter pickups. And we were, like, our expectations were brought back down by response from administration council. This person was not really
Serve
to
you.
help us with our
Yeah,
our tasks. That she has other responsibility, and it's a part-time position. So I mean, in theory, I think that should work, but we were kind of turned back.
But if you can check to see where things are on that aspect of things.
okay,
Cause that gives you an official coordinator, so to speak, that doesn't necessarily eat into, what we're there, but we're not the day-to-day people.
And then
Right.
we could have a whole conversation on that. That's supposed to find volunteers and all that, but I think we need to. We're running late now, and I think you still had
no,
another.
you're good, yeah, so I will check in on that and I'll see how council would feel about making this.
Potential, just because
Yeah,
we're busy, we're
sure,
got a lot of ideas and programs we're trying to get rolling and. Maxed out.
Sure.
So.
I
Excellent.
will check, and then I had a resident reach out to me yesterday, and she asked, let me find this. 1 second. So she said that she's in charge of planning a neighborhood beautification day for her community association. She asked if there were any resources or initiatives from either the town or the EAC that she could promote.
We just have these people coming out really wanting to help and we don't have a framework to just
Yeah.
plug them in and go.
Yeah, yep.
I mean, did she identify what specifics are involved with
She
the
did not.
beautification? I mean, is it gardening? Is it, flowering things or,
Right.
we don't know.
No,
She's just saying,
that was it.
yeah, so has the committee ever
Budget.
done anything in
I know.
beautification?
Now, the one thing I would suggest is your planning guide is one place to start with.
I mean, it sounds like she is also just offering to get the word out about things, right? So
It sounded more like a communication thing, right, Matt?
yeah, when is this happening? Do we know, Nick?
Do not know, no.
So
I
yeah,
can
I mean, that's gonna
Find
be
these things out.
yeah, that's gonna be valuable, right? If it's gonna be soon, then the speaker series or the like just talking about the things that we do all the time. Hey, there's around Earth Day we do a cleanup, and it sounds to me like just getting the word out would be a valuable thing here.
Yeah, and I thought of John, like whenever, when I heard this question, I just thought, is she saying, like, how do I advertise this thing? Or is it Facebook, McCandless Facebook, or is it? I mean, is she, to Matt's point, is she looking for us to
I'm not sure if
help
it's
her promote
planning,
it?
help, promotion, maybe all of those things.
It's cleaning and beautification.
Yeah,
Like you clean up, but then you beautify with, what are the methods? And maybe that's what she's asking.
I think so.
So yeah, it's like a flower program, a gardening, if you're in the city, it might be painting, house, painting,
Yeah.
like a paint day and a spruce up day and beautify the neighborhood. But yeah, it sounds like we don't have this kind of infrastructure programs in place.
Nick, she's one of your constituents, right?
Yeah.
She's in your, okay, so, I mean. Do you want to just go back to her and with a bunch of questions and
Yeah.
just try to get to, what,
Looking-
I don't know, I mean. Just sort of what she's looking,
Wide open.
looking for and.
Sure.
Yeah, we had a discussion at the Environment Advisory Committee on, and I'm wondering if I could ask you, these follow-up questions to what you're trying to achieve.
And could you even maybe forward
Yeah,
the email?
sure. That's all I have.
Yeah, I know my brain stopped shot right here.
Yeah, well, I feel like, McCandless, it's interesting to me, like coming out of the city, I feel like McCandless. The concept of beautification, I feel like it's already so green and beautiful. It really is.
No, you're
Whereas,
right.
when you're kind of in the concrete jungle, right? You're,
Mhm.
Yeah.
you're looking for where can color be?
There's an
where-
empty lot, we wanna
Yeah,
put a, communal garden on it or,
Yeah.
that type of thing,
Yeah,
right?
so I
Yeah.
feel like urban beautification and suburban beautification are two different concepts.
Right.
But beautification, I love the idea that there's a neighborhood looking to do it. It's, is it kind of like I live in Graybrook, right? So is it a community like that where it's a housing community that, it has a Facebook page and they all talk?
Mhm.
Is that kind of what? the
Next
community
door,
is
that
like?
type of thing.
Probably, I think. Yeah.
Because I know that Graybrook's got the old garden club.
Yeah.
It's been around
Right.
for 50 years or whatever, and they used to have an annual
And then-
plant sale and they plant
Right.
flowers at the gateway and.
Yeah, and it's garden of, it's garden of the month,
yeah.
like they award garden of the month, so, the concept, so. It's like an incentive program for the neighborhood to
Right.
kind of keep it pretty,
Mhm.
but maybe those are the kind of things that could be used from other communities.
Right.
But yeah, but I don't know that, I guess, but I always think that works in interestingly well. I mean, I'll never get it, but,
I actually did once a long time ago.
Did you?
A couple things all ballooned at one time. I went out there like, oh my goodness. But,
yeah.
yeah,
Thank you, guys.
so.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, anybody have any, new topics or anything that they'd like to add to the agenda for next month? Then we will have, again, we will have the tree, Danielle from Rhine, speaking with us next month, and we're gonna talk more about Garden Park. Anything else?
Yeah, and maybe, and again, we'll talk about the structure of the EAC and talk about, I mean, it's, so there's a lot of follow-ups.
All right, do we then have a motion to adjourn?
That one will do.
Second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Thank you so much, everybody. The rest of the night.
Yep.
I haven't used the things that